but I do think that she wants to harness a wild stallion, which is Gabler, and I think that bucking bronco might buck her off.
Why is the jury laughing?
0 chance of winning the game.
Supposed to talk glamour to you.
My grandmother's sitting home watching Jerry Springer.
Lee, is there any way I could have your jacket?
This is my island.
Welcome back to Survivor Breakfast. We're talking episode 1 of Survivor 43. You know, we've done our preseason cast assessments, and we're finally here at the season. I'm excited to talk to you boys about what's going on here. As always, please like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify and Apple. Listen to us to anywhere you can hear your podcasts. And let's hop right into this episode. Let's talk about what happened. Unfortunately, we lost the one girl.
Dark horse.
Okay, I know I was gonna get attacked. I did not claim that she was not gonna be a first boot. Okay, all I want to say is
I think that's exactly what you claimed.
If I recall correctly, it's slip by in the beginning, do two good things at the end, and take the game is what I remember.
She was not in my top 3. I want to be clear about that. In the conversation, and the audience can go back and watch, all I said was she was going to get written off strategically because of the way she looked, and she was written off strategically.
Yeah, but you're leaving out the big fact that you said that was going to be a good thing.
I was saying you could potentially play it well if you are a good player.
And you said she would.
No. Toast knows I did not say that. Toast, did I say she would, or it's possible?
Here's the question. Really, it comes down to intention. That's really what it is. Somebody comes out onto the island that is portraying themselves in that way, very colorful, very loud, is going to be under the spotlight. There's no getting around it, right? So the question is that a strategic decision or is it a blunder? You could change your hair. You could change your hair. So if there were an explanation, as if Mariah came out and said, listen, I want people to overlook me. I want them to neglect to think of me as a threat in this game, then I would have said, that's strategy. Now, even if that strategy didn't work out, I would still be happy because I knew that she was coming at it with some sort of tactic. But it seems like this was a lapse in judgment, and therefore it wasn't strategic, and therefore even if she were to get past and overlooked, we have no way of knowing if she were to be able to convert on that because she hasn't shown any strategy in that decision.
All I'm going to say, Toast.
Whoa. First boot Simi. Hold on.
Yeah.
It was really it was spelt out perfectly by one of your guys' predominant players that you guys are excited about, Jesse. He said, "I'm going to sit back and I'm going to be literally just a guy floating around. I don't want to attach myself to anything."
Man,
so that's the best way to play the early game. You do want to make relationships, you want to go back and start to form those deeply seated stuff, obviously. But again, in the pregame preview, it was just I felt unnecessary to put yourself on a platter, basically, to be voted off.
No, I agree. Going to the island with bright colorful hair is not a great decision. But like, okay, yeah. And no. Toast and I had this discussion. The fact of the matter is, she did go to the island with the thing. So your best bet at that point is to try to get overlooked strategically. That's what I was trying to say. And you can attack me all you want, but I was right. She was written off strategically.
I'll give you that.
Let's
fall on that sword.
Let's hop into the episode a little bit. The first thing I kind of want to talk about, we had this opening challenge that people did. Nothing too atrocious happened in that. I thought people performed reasonably. But the thing I really want to talk about is the 2 losing tribes from that opening challenge had to go do a Savvy versus Sweat. Kind of a new version of what we saw in season 41 and 42. This time they had a different type of puzzle. It was like moving bones around to increase a number or dig in this area of sand for some supplies. I want to hear what you guys think about, because we had 2 different tribes and they chose 2 different things, which to me it feels like they might have made it a little bit more balanced. Maybe I was pretty happy that they didn't both just pick the puzzle or both pick the digging. But I want to hear what you guys think about this Savvy or Sweat that we saw, and what you guys would have picked.
So I agree with that, that point that you said that, one tribe picked one thing, another tribe picked a different thing. For the past 2 seasons that we've seen it, both tribes have either both selected Savvy or both selected Sweat because the variables were very obviously in favor of one of those 2 options, regardless, depending on the tweaks per season.
Yeah.
In this case, it was nice because it seems like it allowed for people to either take command of the decision or sort of like fall back in a way that was actually like viable, because in the other options in previous seasons, it was so skewed towards selecting Savvy. You get 2 guesses, right? One person has to carry all of the water instead of 2 people have to carry all the water, right? So like little things like that. So you really could see, once those variables are sort of controlled in that way, you really see individuality shine, right? Because people are now able to make decisions that benefit them. So we heard from Owen saying, I know I'm going to be, the person doing the Sweat, which is what we heard from Mike last season, right?
Yeah.
A nice little insight into Owen thinking about the game, which
I thought
we
that
all
was a
thought
great
that he would
sign.
be a good thinker. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see, Ryan, who this is his opening scene where he kind of commits to this. He's a workhorse for this tribe. I mean, he's putting in the work, and he's, unfortunately, I mean, maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I don't think he's necessarily being rewarded for it with social interaction and relationships. I feel like he's really putting his heart out there, and he's not really getting any, from what we could tell, reciprocation from his tribe. But
Yeah, I think it might take a few
No,
more
no, there
episodes
was-
though until we can kind of really tell, because maybe
He
he just
did
got
seem
cut
like an
out
outlier,
of some,
no?
of some edit stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Go ahead,
No,
Gil.
he also was he positioned himself from partaking in the Sweat piece of the puzzle, and the ladies were forming, a little bit of a group themselves, and they roped in James, right?
yeah, that's what I was going to say, though. Like, why James and not Ryan? You know what I mean?
It just became that they had interactions right when that thing was happening. It was only a short time.
It was everyone that didn't do the Sweat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it was
Which-
exactly to what Owen said, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean that's I mean, it's not crazy to believe that can actually fall into place like that.
No, totally.
No, it's
and
not.
we've
It's
talked
just-
about this, last season, and I think it's the same thing this season. Where, like, for me personally, I'm doing everything I can to not have the tribe not pick the Sweat, because I want everybody
Yeah.
together. I don't want to split up,
do
and
it as a
then,
conglomerate.
especially if I'm going to be in the smaller group, it just doesn't make any sense strategically.
Listen,
Yeah.
no, listen. One of the we'll get into talking about the overall episode as a whole for him, but on the other flip side of it, with the Savvy piece of the puzzle,
Sammy.
with what happened with what happened with Sammy, who said that he did not want to portray anything in the line of
Yeah.
being smart at all, having to come up to the table and say, "Listen, I see it clear as day right here. We got to go boom, boom, and move it over there." And to create
Yeah.
the higher digits, I actually was a little lost with the puzzle myself, to be honest with you.
I would have
when he said
100%
that,
got
I
it
was like-
wrong. I would have. I'm not afraid to admit I absolutely would have gotten it wrong. I had a total strategy in my head, and then they solved it, and I was like, I didn't even see it. I had no idea.
I thought for sure a 9 needed to be created on
Yes,
the first
same,
digit, and that was
same.
it. And that's all I was thinking the entire time.
yeah, I got too locked into that.
But listen, he exposed. Listen, is he going to be the brain guru genius for the Survivor's ever seen, the best one ever? I doubt it. But at the same time, he didn't want to portray any side of that, and it at least shows something. It's going to be sticking for them
Totally.
for at least a number of different tribals.
100%. He also I think he got the fire going for them too. If I'm
Yeah,
not
he was a
mistaken,
rock star.
He was a rock
Yeah.
star,
Oh,
but
yeah,
he's
an awesome
he's drawing
episode.
a lot of attention, which
Yeah.
to me it's not a great sign that he like wanted to keep it low key and then immediately let it go. He's like, I
No,
want to
but
keep it
I
low
mean,
key.
it
And
also
does
talks
display. It does show that he's thinking about the game in a higher level, because if you think about it, like, if primary objective is to get the savvy puzzle correct, then he would have not hesitated, right? If that were his one objective in that moment, like a very short-sighted, like, here we go, let's solve this puzzle, that's what's in front of us, he would have just said that I have the answer. But instead we get a confessional of him saying, how do I actually bring forth this idea and have myself not be perceived in a way that I don't want to be? So he is sitting on this answer because he knows that strategically it might not be the best decision to come out and say it, which is a higher level thinking, right?
No, yeah,
So
and I-
that.
I agree.
It's a good sign.
I think it's a good sign that he's thinking that way. Obviously, didn't quite work out for him
Exactly.
this time because
Yeah.
he did have to reveal that stuff. But I do
Yeah.
like that he did that. Like we said before, I really
Yeah, but
like that Owen was like had the confessional as well, where he was
Yeah.
like, I definitely want to. Sorry. I wanted to go back to Sammy though too. Sammy, I
Yeah.
really like too. You could tell he's being thoughtful about the game, especially because he also lied about his age as well.
Yeah.
Told people he
Have
was,
to.
and
I don't-
now it's not a
I-
huge jump, but he lied from
I don't
19 to 22. I know it's not huge, but at least he's thinking about
Swati
these
did the
things.
same thing
You know what
last
I mean?
season. Swati did the same thing.
Swati
last
did do the
season.
same thing,
Then he-
but I would argue that Swati was thinking about the game. At least she was being intentional about her
but,
game as well.
Her detriment was a lack of real life experience, and
Totally.
she lent her word to
Horrible
way
tribe,
too many people, and that's what happens. But listen, talking about horrible tribe, not that Baka was a horrible tribe, but so much of this game is circumstantial. Look back to Winners at War with Jeremy and Natalie. Started on the same tribe. They all
Yeah,
knew that
100%.
they all knew that she had a connection from the jump of the game, and Natalie got targeted for that sole purpose and that sole purpose alone. The reason
And
I
then the
bring
flip
this,
side.
the flip side, what?
Oh, I thought you were going to bring in the fact that Jeremy and Natalie were the analogous duo on the other tribe was Tony and Sarah, and they completely dominated the game. So it was like
yes, no, listen, yeah, and if you could avoid
That's
tribal and
circumstance.
situate yourself,
Yeah.
but 100%. But I wasn't even extrapolating that far. I'm just saying
Sorry.
that in this game, this is a different piece of it. But why I'm just saying so much of this game is circumstantial is that Sammy is getting put on this pedestal and having to do a bunch of different things, and then you just compare and contrast him with the four other people to Gabler on his tribe, a character that we'll all talk about. But Gabler is crazy wild man saying things that are,
Out of
they
control.
may be
I love 'em.
super meta that we don't even know by just pulling out shot in the darks. When, by the way, did they even mention shot in the dark before Gabler
no,
said it?
They
he
didn't
just
bring
went
it
to
up.
that. He was just like,
No, did
it's
they
happening.
mention shot in the dark
No,
that it was
no.
in this game?
I don't even know
No,
if
they
I don't
didn't.
think they get it. I think he just assumed that they did because of the last two seasons. Like, do they get it this season?
We don't. We still don't know. I mean,
That's a
I
great
wonder.
question too.
I
But
wonder
he
if
went
they
straight
would've
to shot in the
clarified.
dark from
They wouldn't edit that in if they wouldn't edit that in if
I
they
guess
didn't
not.
edit it.
I guess not. It just that was wild that he made that huge jump. That was crazy.
It
But
was
listen,
bad.
it's like even when this game is so much, so it's built so much in the fact of you have to create a perception of what you believe others are in relation to you, and you have to understand where you sit yourself with everybody else. When you have a contrasting individual that you have no control over the moves that he's going to make on a day-to-day, to hour to minute basis, Sammy could think he wants to do A, B, and C, but Mike puts him and paints him in the corner that he can only do X, Y, and Z in terms of moves that you can make. So
No.
listen, I don't
yeah,
think.
I mean,
Sam,
Gabler's a wild card. That's a fact.
No, that's what I'm saying. And when
Yeah.
you compare Sammy, who wanted to start this game in a completely different fashion, and now he might get screwed because he might be viewed as like a power player, and he had a really
Maybe.
good episode. I was
Maybe.
impressed.
But I look. I think all that to say, I liked Sammy this episode. I was he
Yeah, I
surprised
agree.
me with his performance. And I think one more thing that I want to add on to that as we're talking about Sammy is that at the end of the episode, he kind of started to position himself opposite Owen when they were starting to talk about where lines were getting drawn for the vote. But he ended up
Yeah,
going
which-
with Owen's side. And
I want to talk about that when we get to tribal because I have some questions and speculations about that because, like I said, I think we should do it when we talk about tribal. I don't
Yeah,
want
we
to
can talk about it,
but
but-
I'm sure I'm going to agree with you with what you say.
Yeah,
So-
all I want to say though is that like to me, if it all is straightforward in that he was starting to be against Owen's side of the thing and then flipped his vote to stay with everybody else, to me that's a good sign for him as well. Knowing, hey, I don't want to get enough information to know like, hey, I'm going to be on the losing side of this vote if I don't flip right now, and I don't want to be ostracized this early by doing that. But regardless,
Let's dive more into the Coco tribe. We already started talking about Ryan and Gio getting a little bit ostracized on that, and
yeah.
the girls' alliance forming with James.
Yeah.
Where'd you guys see, power players versus not power players on the Coco tribe?
Well, I think the interesting thing about the Coco tribe there and the way the lines are being drawn is, I think it's a really good example of why sweat is so dangerous, because Ryan solved that sweat they said like 30 minutes or less than 30 minutes. And even in less than 30 minutes, a line is drawn. Like they've already made an alliance in like 25 minutes worth of them being separated, which is why something like that is so, so dangerous. So I thought that was a really interesting thing to kind of show up. The other thing for me, something that I had in my notes when I was kind of going through the episode is I'm a little worried for Jesse here. Because he kind of got pulled in that alliance, and from his
James?
James. Sorry, James.
No worries. Yeah.
I'm a little worried for him. I'm a little worried that he's going to get complacent from all the attention that he's getting, and we know, obviously he doesn't, but we know that that's really a girls' alliance that they've pulled him into, for numbers and stuff like that. And from all his confessionals, it seemed like he was just like, oh yeah, this is easy. I'm getting all this attention, and I'm worried that he's gonna. Think it's like straightforward from here, when really he is at the bottom of his kind of side of the alliance.
Sure. So just to, I guess, address what you were saying. So 2 things. One, that's exactly the point that I made about Ryan, right? He's this workhorse all of a sudden where he's doing the sweat. He's performing in the challenge, like both challenges that we saw. Ryan, I think, was pretty much MVP in the physical portion of it. And he really didn't get that reciprocation, that love, right? To the Jesse point, now I'm in the same.
James.
To the James point, it's like Jesse and James. It's like Pokemon, right? It's like Team Rocket.
Team Rocket.
That's why.
It's as simple as this: Jesse is on Bessie. Boom.
Okay.
Oh, that's
sorry.
a nice way
Jesse,
to remember it. I like
Bessie.
that, Kale.
Okay. All right. So the James thing, right? It goes against what he said he wanted to play the game like pre-game, right? Before he got out there, he was like, I want to cause chaos, right? So I do see the point that you're trying to say, that you don't want him to become complacent. I just think that he luckily doesn't seem like he's going to be that person, but it's a good point. One person I want to point out from that tribe that really impressed me, that I will admit that I was dead wrong about, was Carla. I was dead wrong. I thought that she would come off a little abrasive.
Kale shaking his
Honestly,
head. Kale
What?
shaking his head.
Okay, well, let me just get it out of my system, and then you can counteract however you want or say whatever you want to say. But I think that she came off as very, very approachable, very calm, did not come off as abrasive or nosy in any way, and also seems to be actually weighing all of her options rather than just being like, yep, girls' alliance or whatever. I felt like she almost came off maybe a little bit insecure, or maybe the better way to phrase it is unsure of what her actual strengths are. But I think that that's a good thing. I think there's a lot of overconfident people, which I know, Simi, you've talked about with this season and recent seasons past, that there's this I think Kale, you said it too, that there's this sense of overconfidence with a lot of people, and then they get blindsided. But I think Carla's actually coming at it with some humility, which I did not predict her to present herself as. I don't know.
I
I'm
agree.
wording it
I
correctly.
agree that her perception came off differently than what we
thought.
she might. Yeah, of course. But was it really impressive in any way? No. To be honest with you, I kind of came away with the fact that she has alliance member that I'll drag along a little bit, not to be disrespectful to her in any way. I'm just I didn't get power play from her at all, which I guess talks to what you're saying a little bit.
No, I thought she did. I also think she did well. So it's
that's what I'm saying.
Maybe
I disagree.
That's where we disagree. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I disagree. The clear power player here. I think Lindsay is a certain dominance where she definitely wants to play Mama Bear in terms of directing things and whatnot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that's going to be interesting. But I loved all the confessionals that came from Cassidy in the entire episode. I really did. You disagree?
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I don't disagree. I think she did great. I don't know exactly where those chips will fall, to be honest. I just know that we did get more from Carla, and to I guess
Yeah, but was that
juxtapose-
only because of the island situation?
That's what I was going to say. I mean,
Probably.
but the only thing to juxtapose is that when Dwight came back from the island, which I'm sure we're going to talk about in more detail,
Yeah.
everyone didn't believe what he did, and he was honest. Everyone believed what Carla did. Carla was honest.
It's
and
easier
everyone-
it's easier to believe the no vote, like non-risk your vote situation.
I guess.
I guess so.
You think
I mean,
so?
Other than the fact that the easiest thing to believe is Gabler when he shows you. The
Well,
exact
yeah,
thing.
Gabler.
I think
Gabler, everyone's
Sure.
like, oh yeah, no, he's telling the truth.
Yeah. But Carla, I think, is poised to play the middle, and I'm hoping that Cassidy could too. But it seems like she's much more close with Lindsay in the gung ho like girls plus James alliance, and I think Carla is kind of feeling out her options, is what it seemed to me.
Yeah,
I think Lindsay's doing great too, but she's like steadfast and let's do this. I don't know if she's going to be malleable.
yeah, to me,
Yeah, but I'll let you hop in here quick, Sam. I just want to say that like the situation I think is that I think Carla was a little bit more afraid. Cassidy was a little bit more sure of herself. I don't want to say that Cassidy was more exuding overconfidence. I thought she had a good level of confidence and that she wanted to execute on X, Y, and Z. I don't know. I felt
Yeah,
Carla
it's fair.
was just a little scared. Sorry to cut you off there.
no, you're good. I mean, all I was gonna say is I am a little worried about Cassidy's like eventual threat management. Like I think like from the way that I don't think Carla was acting. I don't know. I wasn't like I was getting unsure, but I think I don't know. I guess I kind of read it more as like a self-aware unsure. Like you're in a new place, you're still getting all the
thank you.
variables.
That's what I meant to
rather
say.
than
that's
like
how I wanted to frame
like
it.
oh I'm gonna fumble the rest of the game because I can't figure out
Sure.
what to do. I
Yeah.
didn't get that sense at least yet from her.
I
I
agree.
don't know. I thought she played way better than I thought she was going to be. I think I can maybe speak for everybody when we thought she was going to come in like loud, boisterous. You know, she had that nosy comment in some of her things, but I think she was very measured. I think she made some good relationships with people. You know, she had that connection with Gio. Not that I think Gio's going to give her that much help. You know, throughout the game, but to have somebody like that as just a vote that you can kind of toss around that's always going to vote with you, you know, that would be nice. I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you, Toast.
Yeah.
I was impressed by her play more than I thought I was going to be, for sure.
Okay, yeah.
Before we leave Coco, and I guess we can jump into the island because we already just mentioned it and meander our way over to Vessi. But I know you guys just said that you're interested to see where the James situation lies with the three female alliance. I actually think that was honestly just a point of conversation maybe for this episode because I do think that a bunch of the women were down to veer off of that alliance, to be honest.
I kind of hope because
I think James is fine sitting with the three female alliance because if anything, I think people are then open to approach him at the merge because if you look at it face value, it goes male voted off in terms of Coco going to tribal council.
And then everybody's
Works
like, we
that
can
way.
pull him.
Yeah, and everybody's like, we can pull him. So he's the guy who gets all the information come merge time.
Yeah.
So
I think that would work definitely if they win the first three immunity challenges or don't lose the first three immunity challenges, and then it just so happens that they lose back to back. Then yeah, that's not a bad position for James to
Are
be
you
in.
just saying that James is then just in a vulnerable position if they lose three before the merge?
Yeah, because once they lose the one, and let's say they take out, well, Gio is a non-entity as far as challenges is concerned,
Yeah.
as far as we know. I mean, remember Romeo pulled out that Final Four win last season, but so anything is possible. But Gio did not look great out there. Like, let's be honest. If they get rid of Gio first, then maybe Ryan can pull everything together for for a couple more goes. But if they get rid of Ryan and then they lose next time because they got rid of their main strength in the game, then they better make the merge right after that. Because,
Here's the thing,
but
too.
I agree with you,
If-
Kale. I don't think this is what it's going to be like long term.
Well, yeah, I agree. But also, something that I just kind of was thinking about was if I'm the girls, right? I have 6 people on my tribe, right? So I'm pulling in James as the girls' alliance to have that majority, right? Once you vote out that first person, your second person could very reasonably be James.
Yeah.
Because if you leave James for a potential third vote, he can create, cause some chaos within the group because he's already had a relationship with that girls' alliance. But if you get him out second, then that last person who's left, that last guy, is vulnerable because they haven't been able to make any inroads to cause any chaos in your group. So you can make sure to get them out that third time. So, he could even be in danger on a second vote. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily have to go all the way to a third.
That's what happened with the first vote of Yasa in 41 when Evie got them to vote out Abraham, and they got rid of him, and then and Voce was on the side of getting Abraham out, and then Voce bit the dust the next episode, right? So that's definitely a possible thing that could happen, but. I mean, to be honest with you guys, I don't know if this tribe dynamic is either concrete enough or interesting enough at this moment for me to be like, yeah, this is what it's going to be. You know what I mean?
No, of course.
No, it's so
I
early.
understand that, but at the same point, Carla didn't look great in the challenges either, to be quite frank. And so if let's just say,
but did she look worse than Gio?
No. If they vote Gio out and they lose again, it is a very hard proposition to vote out Ryan. And if James performs reasonably better than Carla, which I think is a decent assumption to make, they gotta sit back and say, we still need numbers as a whole going into the merge.
Yeah. Totally.
Totally. So I think fastening yourself to the women to start whenever you're in a situation like that, or if you're a woman who fastens herself to 3 males on a different tribe in a different season, I don't think that's a horrible play. Because
I agree actually with you. I think that's a good play overall. If you can win the first 2 challenges of the season, or in this case when there's 3 tribes, not lose the first two tribals of the season, and then you have some wiggle room here, it makes total sense. I think as a female alliance like that, I think it totally makes sense. Because once you get into the merge, you're fine.
All right. Well, let's.
Sorry, we got to get off. This tribe is not that interesting. Right?
Let's talk a little bit.
Cassidy kicked butt.
All
right, Kale. I can already feel what this season's going to feel like with Kale and Cassidy. Let's mosey on and just talk very briefly about Vessi before we get to the Risk Your Vote Island, because I think is the real meaty part of this episode that I'm excited to talk about with you guys. So let's talk about Vessi. Who do you guys like? What do you think is kind of going on in this tribe dynamics? What are your thoughts there?
Simi, you go. We've been talking, I feel like.
Okay,
what do you think?
I mean, to me, I was excited to watch Vessi because of how excited I am about Jesse, really. I was excited to see how he's going to play. I think he performed very similarly to how I was kind of hoping he would. He was pretty low-key, but making relationships with people and talking to people. I think he's personally in a really good position to kind of play the middle in this tribe a little bit. Kind of talking to everybody and things like that. I thought the fun part of this tribe here was Vessi has Cody in it, right? I'm not going crazy.
Yeah.
That salesman conversation I thought was very, very interesting. I liked that play from Cody. Like we said, he is very attention grabbing. But I like that he's already throwing that, hey, you got to worry about these people. You gotta look, you gotta watch. And at the same time, not revealing that he's of that same occupation of being a salesman and things. So I thought that was interesting and that was fun to watch.
2 things. I want to put it to you guys real quick first, but to that statement that you just said, I don't know if you. I mean, again, I guess people do this all the time on the island. This is what the editors just chose to show us. But I to compare and contrast, I like how Jesse played the situation more than Cody. I don't think Cody
for sure.
I agree.
Throwing names out,
targets
out. I don't need to.
I think that was fun to watch.
Let me. No, of course. So I put it to you right now. Power rank the 6 members on this tribe for me right now.
All right. Well, let's. Who's on this tribe? It's Jesse. It's Cody, NECA, Justine,
Dwight, Janine, and Noelle.
I think that. Okay, so. You want me to actually rank order this right now? I think
rank order after 1 episode.
I think if I had to say, it would be NECA and Dwight at the bottom of this barrel.
Agree.
And then I think Noel like one step above that.
Oh, you
Cody.
did like Janine.
Ooh, sorry. Wait,
Like
isn't
Janine?
it? Justine, you're saying?
Justine.
Janine's on the other
Justine,
one.
yeah,
It's
Janine's-
okay. Yeah, Janine's on the
There's
other
so
one.
many close
No,
names
so
here.
I think so Noel is just right above I think NECA and Dwight, and then I think Cody is gonna fly too close to the sun in the middle, top middle, and then Justine and Jesse. So I think Jesse's at the top.
You thought Justine had a good had a kick-ass episode.
I wasn't
I think
super
that
impressed by her. I wasn't like.
Yeah. So, but
Go
she's
ahead.
insulated. I think.
Okay.
She's just
Explain.
more insulated. So
Explain.
I think that as a proxy, as like she's the default option for Jesse if he were to go the Noel Justine route, and then the other route, I think he's starting to get weird vibes from Cody. And I think everyone's kind of out on Dwight. To be honest, when they had that interaction
Dwight's
when
last.
they were like, Jesse was the one who was narrating it, saying, I can go with these three, or I can go with these two, or these two, or these two. And in my head the whole time I'm thinking, who the hell is left out of this? Who is the last person? And it's just Dwight sitting in the camp, you know? I'm like, okay, Dwight is also on this tribe. I kind of forgot. I like going through the numbers. So it doesn't seem like he's really involved in any of the combo. Simi, if you want to answer that too, and then I'll talk about it.
Well, I thought that was interesting too. And we'll get to this with the risk your vote stuff, but how like Dwight and other people who went to the risk your vote island explained it very similarly to their tribes when they got back, but for some reason it just really worked out very poorly for Dwight. On top of him, losing his vote. But yeah,
okay, we're going to get to that.
Yeah,
right?
let's talk about the ranking here. So for me, Dwight's at the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't think NECA is second last for me. I thought she was fine.
Not based on social hierarchy, but more based on who is expendable at this point.
Expendable at this point, probably putting her at
Like
the bottom. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. For her, like the next two for me are kind of Noel and NECA. Like it's Dwight and then Noel, NECA are kind of here-ish. But I'm a little more positive on NECA than I am Noel. And then
That's fine. I mean,
here's the tough thing is I wasn't like super, and I hear your point about her being insulated here, but I wasn't like super crazy about Justine, but I also wasn't super crazy about Cody. I think Jesse's at the top for me. So it's kind of like a Jesse, and then it's like a, Justine, Cody,
Yeah, listen.
and then it's a...
this is a cop-out, but either way, it's fine. It's a cop-out to put one person at the top and be like, these two are kind of here, these three are kind of here. It's like,
No. It's
Give a
like,
rank.
there's... Okay, all right,
am
fine.
I wrong? I mean, Kale said give a
you're
rank, not a
probably
feeling.
right. You're probably right. It's probably Jesse, Justine, Cody.
No, I
NECA,
think
Noel,
Noel played better than
Dwight.
Justine did.
You think Noel played better than Justine? I just think that Justine is the connective tissue.
I just think she's more likely to get
the
voted
Noel
off.
so I think she's more insulated is what I'm saying. All right, wait, can I just say one thing? Because I feel like we also have been like kind of down on Cody a little bit. One thing I want to say is that because we glossed over the marooning basically, right? The first challenge that we saw.
what
And
you're
I
talking
think
about.
that Cody should get credit because this was an awesome challenge hack. I mean, Peridium on YouTube has like 10 plus videos about challenge hacks in Survivor. And he was the one that suggested, which by the way, shout out to my girlfriend Leia, who also thought of this before it
Leia.
happened. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, thank you.
Wow.
Kale's a huge fan. But putting the bamboo on the flint and sort of like pushing it against
Using that to
the
leverage
top
up
bamboo and just pulling it. And I thought that was awesome because he was able to see that. I mean,
Totally.
super smart in the moment, good instincts. It was actually pointed out to us that Noel said, wow, that's so smart, like mic'd up. It was like kind of like it was a louder voice than the crowd in the background saying that's so smart, like, which, makes me think like, okay, that's his perception right now,
Yeah.
And then I think the rest of the time, in my head, he kind of went downhill, his valuation.
Well, he was
I think
eroding
he's gonna fly
that
too close to the sun.
he's so smart
Yeah, he was
thing
way
the rest of
too
the
vocal.
episode.
It was way too vocal.
Well, Kale, what's your ranking then? You had
My ranking is that I think you guys put this onus or this you threw Dwight into this bucket at the bottom of the barrel situation. Or like
Is the bucket in the barrel or
I
the
think
barrel in
Dwight's-
the bucket?
Well,
Dwight's in both.
I think Dwight's a less
Some-
charismatic JD. That's where I'm putting him in my head. Kind of naive.
There's
And
similarities, I guess. but
can't make quite as good
No,
of a
you know what?
relationship as JD.
I think
I think he's better than JD.
You think so?
I would power rank this NECA at the bottom, Justine above that, Cody, Dwight, Noel, Jesse. Really, for me, you compare and contrast the gameplay, and at least the confessionals were used to juxtapose themselves of Jesse to Cody. Listen, I thought Cody's approach was definitely interesting. He definitely showed that he is smart too, even by that one challenge situation. But some of the gameplay in episode 1 was a little bit unnecessary, as
aggressive.
was, and I know we'll talk about them last with Baka as we get into Tribal. But it's almost comparable to Owen just going a little bit too crazy here on in the beginning days. I said this in the preview. I said that you really want to play a really even keel, low to the ground game, and that's what Jesse was preaching. And so I give him the ups on this tribe.
So
I'm gonna be quite
Jesse's-
honest, though. The whole thing's up for grabs.
What I'm
Yeah,
fascinated
I was
to hear
going to say
about
Jesse's
though,
approach is better than Cody's approach because those two were kind of
Yes.
juxtaposed. We got Jesse's perspective, but Cody doesn't seem like he's one to give up the reins here. He seems like he's going to be dominant, or at least try to be. And I think Jesse's totally okay with that. Which is
I don't
to
think
Jesse's
Cody's going to
benefit.
be capable of sitting in the back seat, but I'm fascinated to hear from you, Kale. Why are you putting Noel second here?
I just like Noelle's positioning, and I juxtapose her to Justine a little bit as being two women. I don't want to just juxtapose it because it's female to female.
It's a comparison. What's the comparison?
No, I think Noelle was a little bit more even keeled than Justine was. I think Justine showed she was the one who ended up making the fire, correct?
Yes.
Which was cool. It was a
And-
cool scene.
No, it was an awesome scene. But again, she showed her colors of the fact that she's highly competitive. I thought we were going to get that a lot more from Noelle, being the ultra competitive, not get out of my way, I need to accomplish this stuff. But I think it's going to be Justine that's really the one that's super ultra competitive and is kind of going to put on blinders at certain points in time. I think Noelle was a little bit more
Could be.
introspective.
Yeah.
That's what
I just didn't see a ton
there's not a lot to run on with that, but
Of course.
that's
I just didn't see a
Big
lot
difference, I
of
felt.
relationships being built from Noelle's side. Like, I don't know.
That's what I was going to say, Simi. I think
That's my
that's
worry.
that Noelle's connection to the inner tribe, however that may be, is through Justine, is what it
yeah,
seemed
and
to me.
that's all she really has.
Which automatically puts Justine as one layer of insulation above Noelle,
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
it's
Well, I
again,
want to
obviously
go
too
back to
early
something
tell.
that you said a little bit earlier, Kale. Of you didn't like how Owen was playing this game, and
Wait, are we going to talk about this when we do tribal, or are we going to talk about this
well, this is
in
this
general?
Is, this
Not to
oh yeah, we
ruin
can
the
we can
flow
talk
here.
we can talk about it later. But this was a pre-risk your vote kind of observation that I had because this is when he started
then
to do
go for it.
his wheeling and dealing stuff. Is I agree that he was bringing a lot of attention to stuff. He was talking to a lot of people, but I think from my perspective, it seemed like he was asking or he was talking to people the way that I want or I hope that Survivor players talk to other Survivor players, where he wasn't saying, hey, I'm worried about this person, or let's go vote about this person. The thing we kept hear him saying to people was, oh, is anybody sticking out to you? Is anybody worrying you right now? So that he never had to say it. He
It's
never said
baiting.
it.
It's
He
good.
never said a name to anybody. He just kept trying to get names out of other people. And I really like that when players do that, because I think it really puts you in this position where you put yourself in a position where you can more easily incept ideas into other people's head and have them make the decision or them
Definitely.
lead the charge on something. Because when they say, oh yeah, so and so is a little worrying to me, or I really like this person, you can either help affirm that, or you can erode that a little bit based on how you
Exactly.
respond to that.
It's
And I
good.
really like when I see players do
it's
that.
drawing out information without giving up information,
Yes,
which
it's
is always a net gain in the long run if
Yeah.
you do it correctly.
I think of it the same
So,
way I
yeah.
think of like a salary negotiation. Is you never want to be the person to say the first number, right? I think in Survivor, you never want to be the person to say the first name, right? You want to get somebody else to say
I think
it
that
first.
makes sense.
And I really
you're
like
right.
that.
It is juxtaposed to Cody. I agree.
No. I don't. But
No,
okay, that
juxtaposed to
he's-
Cody in the sense that Cody was like very like open in naming somebody.
Yeah,
but let me
yeah.
just say also, let me just say, it's interesting that you bring that up because it's a good psychology trick, right? Like Jamal from Island of the Idols, atrocious season but good player, said that if he were to go out again, the way that he would conventionally, what people would say is, if you hear my name, let me know. I hear your name, I'll let you know, right? But the way that that's framed, if you think about it, is completely self-interested. Like, if you hear about me, let me know. A lot of me's in that. But
It's
what
also
he framed it
reminding
as is
people that you're going to be making other relationships.
no, but also it's just very self-centered. It has no bearing on that other person. It's not like
I agree.
they have any incentive to do it. It's all for you. But what he says is frame it more like, if you want to pull off a good move, let me know and I'll help. Right? Basically reframing the entire situation to be that person's autonomy. That person is the one who's the main character in the
And reaffirming
proposal,
their
right?
agency in the game.
Exactly. Whereas when it's a similar sort of concept to being like, who's sticking out to you?
Yeah.
Who is this to you? And they're the main character in this conversation, even though you're the one that's getting more out of it.
Yeah. And people
Great
want to
point.
people want
I
to be
thought that
liked,
was a
and
great
people
point,
want to
Simi.
feel smart. So it's like they like being asked, like, "What do you think?" You know what I mean? People just
Yeah, I
feel
mean,
better
it's-
when
it's
people are
the
doing
easiest
that.
thing.
But Kale, I want to hear what your thoughts of this, because I know you were saying you didn't like how he was sticking out.
I just think it contrasts to the exact theme that I'm saying your early game should look like, and that's why you say juxtaposed to Cody, but they were ultimately
This
doing the
word,
same
juxtaposed.
thing, and you're juxtaposing to
We gotta
Jesse
stop.
everything that Jesse said. Listen, Owen was
Kale,
the
you got to
target.
juxtapose Jesse to James right now.
Listen, James. I like James. He put himself in a good spot.
All right, now
Owen.
juxtapose.
No, Owen has to learn that everything is circumstantial. What's his last name?
Gabler.
Gabler.
Yeah, Gabler.
Mr. Gabler. Old Gabler. Now, see, Gabler's situation was that he was so visibly ready to be used as a pawn. As a la Ellie, who we haven't even mentioned her name once tonight. Or I thought had a good
Yeah,
episode
which is
herself.
great. She's under the radar to us. That's how good
I
she is.
know.
I thought Ellie had a bad moment, but we'll talk about it.
Oh, I thought she had a good episode.
She's already bringing up her
Great.
dead
No.
sister to the group. Can't be doing that. What are you talking about? It's such a bad
Yeah,
move.
I mean, that just might be emotional. That just,
I
Yeah.
know, but we talk
It
about
can-
this
it
all
can-
the time. That you shouldn't be bringing up your sap story to the group.
Ellie was
Yeah,
in
but-
charge of
All
this
right, hold
entire
on.
tribe.
Calm down. Everybody, let me
Sorry, I'm
let me
just
dial
saying.
it back. Owen put himself on the chopping block by playing that way because the other options to choose from, Gabler, everybody wanted to use as a pawn, and Sammy was viewed in a way that he was kind of necessary for the piece of the puzzle. So in terms of how the guys were viewed, Owen was the expendable piece, especially because as Sammy started to make the pitch that he was, very much someone who was potentially going to be very smart in this game, which he was. You don't want to portray that. It's not something you want to do on day one. Just
Wait,
happened to be that
I'm missing the point here. What are you trying to say that Sammy
Owen has
was
to take a step back, and first he's got to analyze his tribe. He's got to sit there and realize, shit, Sammy just provided a lot of value.
Yeah,
from
what's my
this-
niche? Yeah.
No, but he's got to see that Gabler's not going to be someone that people want to vote out. People are going to want to use Gabler.
I
But
don't know
Owen,
that
by
that's
going
true, though.
crazy-
People don't love wild cards. There's all the time people are like, I'd love to use him, but he's too much of a wild card. We got to get him out of here.
This episode, he was a total wild card. Couldn't touch him. There was nothing you could do with him.
He's a Brad.
But yeah, he's a
No,
brat. But
my thing is that if Owen could sit back and realize that not only was he overplaying, I felt to start, or at least the edit portrayed him to be overplaying, he was overplaying on a tribe where he was, if viewed as an overplaying person, going to be targeted.
But
That's
here-
what-
but
that's
here's
a good.
my-
That's a great point.
But here's my
It's a good,
here's my
it-
point.
It is a
Kale.
good point.
He got viewed by your argument, right? He got viewed as the most expendable guy because of Sammy and Gabler's actions, right? I don't think him taking
Correct.
a back seat would have helped his case at all. Because
Well, I don't
also
think-
a
I
good
don't
point.
think- I-
because
I
you're
don't-
being
I
put in
don't
that
thi- I don't
position by
think-
actions that aren't yours. And so if you don't take any agency back, you're just going to sit in that anyways. Like him sitting
mean,
back
listen,
is not going to increase his value to the tribe. creating relationships might though.
I first of all, he's still Team Owen. He was my winner pick.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that. Listen, they may have even over-edited the situation because Mariah was clearly the first boot, which is probably what exactly happened.
Yeah,
But
which is frustrating. That's the point I want to make later, but yeah.
Ultimately, again, I just think the better early game, I just want to put an emphasis on this, is the Jesse mindset to have in the early game.
Yes,
And
I
build
totally
deep-seated
agree.
relationships.
Jesse came out
totally
the best
agree.
on this episode for me.
Jesse also had the luxury of having someone overplaying their hand on his tribe.
Yes.
Owen
Which, again,
was
circumstantial.
of course circumstantial, which is what you said. He needs to understand that in a way. You're completely right. I think Owen was in a sense trapped because he didn't have somebody that he could talk game strategy to, and he was going about it as delicately as you can. I mean, they cut to him saying, I can't get through to anybody, I can't break through these, whatever it is, and then it cuts to him trying to open up a coconut, and he actually physically can't open the coconut up, right? Like, which is, it's great, like, it's a great symbol for him struggling in this game to break through. But that's a circumstance, like you said, that's the tribe, that's not him, and I think that Simi might have a good point in saying that his game might have been worse off if he wasn't actively involved towards the end of it, So we have no way of knowing it.
Yeah, like
I think it is a
if
circumstantial
he
thing.
hadn't worked the way he did to create that relationship with Ellie, he might have gone home.
Yeah.
I mean, she was going
That's
to
the
bat
person
for
he
him.
should have
She's
done.
the one who,
Well,
who
that
I assume flipped like Sammy.
Let's
No,
talk.
no,
We're
no.
getting
didn't
into
see
it.
it.
I want to get to it.
All right. Let's talk about the risk your vote island, and then we
will.
will get to the thing.
something that we've teased.
Three
That's
players,
ridiculous.
and we're finally here. We're finally here. 3 players get pulled from each of the tribes and get sent to the island. It's Gabler, Dwight, and Carla. They get sent to this island. I'm calling it the Risk Your Vote Island. I don't think we have a real name for it yet. But basically, it's another one of these prisoner dilemma type games that Survivor's been playing these last
but a
couple
good
seasons.
adaptation.
I did like the change. So the deal with this Risk Your Vote was you could choose to risk your vote or keep your vote. If you risk your vote and other people risk your vote, you need to take out of the bag with that many people, and only one of them is going to get an advantage, and the other people are going to
They make it
lose their
purposely
vote.
confusing for no reason.
It's
but
really, really
No,
confusing.
I didn't think it was that confusing.
I just don't like that.
it's just
the
saying,
multiple
like, if
bags makes
3
it
people
hard.
risk, you go to the 3. If 2 people go, you go to the 2. But it was just like
Yeah,
there
it's
were too many.
basically it's either 33% chance, 50% chance, or 100%.
100% chance.
No, I get it, but like the bags drew too much attention when in reality,
No, it did. It
like,
did.
And Survivor's got this obsession
that's
with
what I'm saying.
bags. They got dice in bags.
Yeah.
You're putting the Risk Your Vote paper
Well, they
in
might.
a bag.
According to Gabler, they still have
Yeah,
dice in
yeah.
bags. I
According,
don't know.
and he's the export. Gabler's a real.
Just to talk about that actually really quick. Don't they give you the dice? Doesn't Jeff give you the dice when you maroon in the past 2 seasons? Wasn't he like, this is your shot in the dark, and like gave it to them?
He did.
Also.
He did. At
So
least in
if
41
if
he
he
did.
didn't do it, maybe
Maybe they
it's
don't
not
have
there,
it.
or
And
It
maybe
was
he's just-
weird. I didn't.
But, like, why would
hear
they-
him talk about it.
Maybe they had to include it
It's
in
a
the edit
tangent.
because he like said it in front of everybody when they just got back. Regardless,
Yeah, sorry.
Gabler and Dwight decide to risk their votes. For me, in this scenario, they did barely any talking before they made these decisions. Like, if I'm there, I'm gonna try to have a lengthy conversation with everybody and actually try to get a real read on if people are gonna risk or not.
Well, Gabler said he was going to play no matter what, right?
Yeah, which was actually
Yeah.
a good.
I
it
like
was a
that, though.
strategic effort. I mean, it was. He
at least tried.
Like we got an insight into his mindset afterwards, where he said, like, I am going to be so confident that I'm doing it that hopefully they realize that they don't have a chance to get it without a fight, and then they'll just not do it. So
Yeah.
at least he tried.
No, I mean, he was the only one who did anything to try to, like.
No, it was a weird.
Well, I think
interaction.
And I think
But
Carla.
what's
I think
the
Carla
difference in this
immediately
compared to
in her
last
brain was
season?
like, "I'm not risking," so she didn't even try. But
What's the main difference with this versus last season?
What you have to
well,
to
last
taste
season
the
there's
music
two.
right away.
There's 2 people.
It's
auto.
in person.
Yeah, of
No,
course.
but there were.
Oh,
there were
yeah,
times
now
when
they're
there was
making the
3
decision
people
in
too.
front of each other.
It's not an Australian ballot. It's like you are making this decision and you know who's risking it, who's not. And then there's this added layer of maybe you get it, maybe you don't.
Well, you all flipped.
So
Yeah. I hear you. They had to flip that card at the very least, though.
No, and the biggest thing is the fact that you're going back with the information of knowing these other people, and you got to start. Now you're starting to paint the people on the other tribe with certain lights. So you got to be a little bit careful by doing this now, because now your perception's being created on two different tribes off of this one island situation.
And you know the outcome right away.
Yes.
Like with the last one, like Omer didn't even know that he lost
until
his
you go
vote
to the
until
vote.
the merge. Remember, he had this great play without even having a vote. He didn't even know that he didn't have a vote because he still thought that what's her name?
Oh yeah.
Chanel. Chanel also didn't risk because she shouldn't have risked. So he didn't even know until after. But if you watch her risk right in front of you, then you know she risked. Like it's telling about the person.
Yeah.
What this showed to me, honestly, this is my own personal opinion, is that I never want to be the person going to this.
Never.
There's no winning.
Especially this early
no matter
in
what
the
you
game.
do. There's no winning. Because Gabler, even though he did end up winning, he had to show everybody what he has. And now you're outthinking yourself, how do I get around this? Dwight risked and then also got punished for risking double-fold because he lost his vote, but then he also is viewed as a liar, even though he didn't lie.
Let's just say what it is. It's like the phrase situation, because in this game there's three levels to this game. You have a hidden immunity idol that no one has anything about, that no one knows anything about. You have nothing and you're chilling, or you have something that everybody knows about. I think the worst position is that one. This
the
is
last
the best,
one.
and then this is the best. The last one, when everybody knows your shit, is not where the position you want to be in. So
You
yeah,
don't
it's
wanna
like
be
the
in this
phrase
position.
situation. No, it's not. It's not great. I think it's better than the phrase situation, to be honest with you.
Probably.
The
because
ship wheel variation is the worst for any individual going.
No, I agree with it. I kind of like the dynamics as a viewer.
Look,
Sure.
Yeah. I think bottom line though, my worst nightmare, day one survivor, is getting pulled away from the group and having to do one of these fucking things. Because no matter what you do, even if it's not one of these risk your vote things, even if it's something else that is like less obvious, everyone automatically thinks that you got an advantage and thinks you're lying if
But
you
that's
say
the
you don't,
thing.
no matter what the island is.
But the island is always that anyway. So, I'm agreeing with you. I hope you don't, misunderstand what I'm saying.
What do you mean the island is always that?
You're saying even if they just take you away for a little bit and go to a different island, the island is always going to be an advantage probability.
That's what I mean.
Like,
That's what I mean. Like they're never taking
so
you
it's
away
not-
for not that.
For sure, but it's never an assumption really on the part of the people speculating that there was an advantage to be had, because every time that happens, someone gets an advantage somewhere.
For sure,
So
for sure.
it's even-
I just
I'm
mean that
basically
everyone's
saying it's
gonna-
even more.
Not only that, I'm just saying one layer on top of that, they automatically have to assume that you have it, no matter what you say
Exactly.
when you get back. It's just,
Totally.
it's
Totally.
just, it's always, and also to be clear, if I do get into the island because we pulled straws or something, it's never a risk your vote on day. I don't think it ever is, because if you lose because
Not in this iteration. it's not.
and the big trouble too
Yeah, I
is
don't
when you
know.
get
I
when you
think
get
you might
back
be
to the
right.
tribe, you need to I think the thing I really liked about this one was you had to give your story to the rest of the tribe before you got to check whether you lost your vote or not. I think that's a very important piece of this as well.
Well,
because-
not necessarily.
Point.
You could have just said nothing.
That's a good point.
But what do you to keep your mouth shut? People are like, what the hell happened on
No,
the
you're
island?
not. You're not.
No, you gotta say
technically
something. You know
Well,
what I mean?
technically, Shipwheel shielded people from having to do that anyway because they wouldn't know the outcome until they went up to the urn to vote.
No,
and saw that
exactly.
they didn't
And
have a vote.
that's why I think it's an important continuation of this thing. And I like that we get the more immediate feedback for the episode. But it's like you got to go back and decide, what am I saying to people? Am I telling them the truth first about the island itself? And then if I am I saying that I risked or not risked regardless of what I did? Because like to me, the biggest danger is you say, I didn't risk, and then you lose your vote, and now you're like, I'm fucked. Best case scenario is you tell people, I think, that you didn't risk your vote, but then you do still get the immunity idol. But
Yeah, that's a win-win. Obviously, that's the best, right?
Of course.
That's the best of all worlds.
but you got to make that decision. Like, am I going to lie about? Obviously, Dwight and Gabler both decided not to lie at all. They both
To tell the
told
truth.
The truth. Just it appears Dwight wasn't as sincere to his group as
No, I
Gabler's
honestly
an
think
open
Cody
book.
wasn't going to believe anybody, to be honest.
Yeah, Cody was gonna paint a target on anyone who
Yeah.
had that situation.
Sure. Well, it was interesting. You know, after the Risk Your Vote, we go to our first like real full challenge, I guess, in the thing. Nothing too crazy from my end, but I'm interested to hear if you guys have anything about this challenge.
No, I just recalled Gabler trudging through the mud, and they all had mud on them. At least the Baka tribe.
Yeah, they
because
were
just
caked.
kept then talking about tribal, they had mud on them for days. It seems like. Gabler looked like he was Davy Jones. Davy Jones Crockett. What is it? Davy Jones, Captain Davy Jones. What is he?
From Pirates of the Caribbean, is that what you're talking about?
Davy Jones Locker. Whatever. Davy Jones with the tentacles, like from Pirates of the Caribbean. That's all I remember.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually. Yeah, thank you for pointing it out. That's a great point.
I'm gonna make sure I'll clip that and make sure that goes on like TikTok or something for the podcast.
It did. That's all I'm saying.
From my perspective, the only things I would want to point out are Ryan just showing what his value is through physicality. The whole time he did great.
You're pioneering the Ryan train from the physicality standpoint. We all
He
knew
is.
that was going to be the case. Like, I don't like what's that? That's not surprising.
No, but I'm also just showing that I want to point out that the physicality is not necessarily being rewarded with social grace. That's what I'm saying. Like nobody
he might not be as social.
and that's fine. I'm just saying I'm pointing it out because it's upsetting to me because I like the guy and I think that he should be welcomed into
I like
the
the
social
guy
circle.
too. He's a nice guy. What do you mean welcome? You have to insert yourself too, my man.
But he's bringing such value to the table that it's odd for me for him not to be in the strategic conversations. That's the only reason why I pointed out.
But
That's
why
really
would they
it,
include him in the
is
strategic?
that he has
if they
value.
think he's just a
He might just
meathead.
be shy. He said he was scared of that himself.
I just mean like the rest
I'm
of
a
the tribe
defender. I
also
don't know.
like if they think he's just like a meathead, physical shield, then why would they
you don't
bring
need
him?
to bring him into the strategy.
Yeah, why would
sure,
you?
but if he's regardless.
Yeah, I
Take
think
my
he
point,
needs to do
leave my
more to
point,
build
who
some
cares?
relationships because then
Yeah, that's
he could
really the
really
only
be in a
reason why
good
I bring it
position
up.
if he's invaluable physically and has good relationships, but it doesn't seem like he's doing the other side of that.
Fine, sure. Then the rest of the tribe is helping him not become a threat, which is great in a sense. But I also want to point out that the Gabler situation with Sammy at the end just didn't look good at all.
That was
for
brutal.
I think either of
Oh
them.
no, it was weird. Yeah, it was weird.
Like Sammy, like
Yeah, but Gabler was
so
probably-
defeated, but he was like yelling at him at the same time.
Here's my thing.
Yeah,
which,
but like,
like-
what are you supposed to do if if Gabler
But-
is just like floundering? What do you like?
you're,
It's brutal.
you're just
Do you
hoping
give
that
up if you're
everybody's.
Sammy?
No, I'm just saying you're hoping that other people come to that conclusion on their
Yes.
own without you having to put someone down so vocally in
yeah.
front of everyone that's there.
Yeah,
I honestly think he was. I think he was just caught between a rock and a hard place. I don't even think he was that bad.
Yeah, he was
could've
pissed.
yelled. He didn't yell.
yeah.
No, he was
well,
pissed,
here's
though.
my thing.
He
Is
didn't say "fuck you, Gabler." You
my
floundering
my
floppy flop.
hypothesis here is that the edit made Sammy look. My guess is the rest of the tribe also like knew that was happening and was also frustrated with him. So I don't know that he looked that bad to the rest of the tribe, but I don't know that obviously. Like I think there's a world where the rest of the tribe was like, Gabler, what the fuck is Gabler doing out there? And Sammy is getting upset with him, and they're not at all thinking that Sammy's being. Maybe they think he was being too easy on him. Who knows? But
I get it. I just wouldn't go out of my way to put someone
No,
down so openly.
I hear you.
That's
but
it.
and I think that could be a symptom of him being a young guy, and he
They weren't against each other at all when it came to tribal. So
No, they seemed like they were still good. Well, let's get to
They
the
hammered it out.
post challenge,
Yeah.
pre-tribal, tribal for Baka here. Kind of the rest of the episode. Gabler gets back and immediately is like, "I'm gonna play my shot in the dark. I'm not gonna play my immunity."
Everybody didn't know. Nobody knew how to
Dude.
react.
Not only am I not
Allie's
gonna play
eyes,
my
Allie's eyes are like,
Like,
she's
what
like,
are you
what are
doing?"
you talking about? He's like,
Crazy.
She's literally just like, hey man, shut up. Like, give us a second to talk. You're not the vote. Stop. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
really, she needed to like, she was upset.
Yeah. Well, I think so. The big thing for me on this second part was, or actually, it's two pieces. I think Ellie did a great job. In like she had the relationship with everybody out there. Everybody was talking to her
Yeah.
the whole time. I thought that was great. this is also where I think I got a little bit more worried for Sammy's game in this portion. And it was because of one particular thing where he was saying, hey guys, let's vote out Owen because I think he's a strong player. And I think he was too...
Did he say that actually?
He said he was smart.
Yeah, he was like,
I believe
he's
it.
a
I'm just
smart
saying.
player. Like, yeah, he said something to that effect. And I think he maybe said that out loud a little bit too early. Because to me, right, if I'm going to go after a smart player, I want to be certain, 100% certain that I have the votes before I start like being like I'm going to, you need to gauge before that, because if you get that wrong and you lose the vote and then you suddenly become the enemy, you're now an enemy against somebody who you believe to be a really good player. And that's a bad place to be, right? So
Yeah,
if you're
I
going to
mean,
go after somebody
even
smart, you got to know, like, you got to gauge those relationships first before you're so vocal about it.
I agree with you, and just to expand on that even further, you might actually say that it's a catch-22 in some ways, because if you agree that it's the smart thing to go after smart people, and you're the one that comes up with the idea to go after smart people, then that makes you smart, which means people would want to go after you. You know, is another way to look at it.
It's tough. It's tough.
But that is the definition of a catch-22.
Ultimately,
too. You know, it's kinda
ultimately,
cool,
we
but-
saw Sammy switched his vote to Mariah, which I think, you know,
Yeah.
is a tick in his
Can
favor
I
that
make
he
a
could
point
make that
about this?
switch back. I didn't really
Make
see
the point.
Yeah, Toast, make the
This
point.
is where I'm a little
Let's hear it.
frustrated. So I
Give it to us. Give it to us.
Okay, thank you. Stage set. So, Simi, I agree with you that I think that was the right thing to sort of relent, I guess, appease
Acquiesce.
the rest of the group by not doing it. Sure, however you want to say it. My problem is not with the castaways; it's with editing in this exact instance. And
100%.
And I know you guys make fun of me for how I look at edits and stuff, but in reality,
Meta corner toast.
there really is not even a subtle. There is no explanation given to us in the episode as to why Sammy switched his vote.
They had to have cut out
There
a
was
really
no-
important conversation. They must have.
But
had
that's
to have
that's
happened.
not cool.
No, it's not.
But
And
what I'm saying is that's not cool. That's my problem. Is that I actually
Yeah, but if you show,
watching
if you
it.
show,
Yeah, I know.
if you showed
It's good to
Sammy,
be
then you have-
blindsided.
well, not blindsided. Mariah had no chance if Sammy was shown to have been voting for Mariah.
Well, I thought it could have been a 2-2, and that so a 4-2. I thought potentially 2 votes were going on Owen, and it wasn't. It was only 1. All I'm saying is that to make it a narrative that everyone can follow, you have to juggle between not producing something that's so predictable that we know the outcome before it happens, and giving us enough information to be able to predict that outcome
I think
without giving it away.
look,
I guess, right? So that's
my
really-
hypothesis here, Toast, is
and
that
there was nothing there.
my hypothesis here is that whoever Sammy had that conversation with, I'm assuming it was with Ellie, it was so cut and dry, him switching sides, that they couldn't even edit it to make it feel like,
They can't get him to
which way
make
is
a
Sammy gonna go?
confessional.
I think
They couldn't get him to like have a confessional where he's like the classic what is strength, like what should we get rid, who is strong,
but if he
who's
didn't
not
say
strong?
it,
Like,
they
what's
can't
best for our tribe?
cut
I
that.
don't know.
You know what I mean? If
At least
it could
he
have been
went
that
from
he said nothing
certain-
even close to that. Like he was so certain that
Fine.
he swapped that they couldn't.
But
do
he
it.
was so certain that he was on the other side that they didn't give us any transition to the opposite.
My guess is
Like,
that
they
it was
didn't
just
show
such
him-
a. It was such a.
It was just a light switch.
It was
I get
like
it.
as soon
There
as
was
he
no
left
journey.
Mariah's side to be near Ellie, he went.
He's like, "Oh, I'm out,
I'm
actually."
out. I'm out.
I just don't like. I guess I don't like that as far as like narrative and storytelling.
No,
because,
and that was frustrating.
Like I
100%.
understand that it happened that way, and that's the way it is. And you're right. Maybe there was no info
I
that they
like
could have
that you're
sucked
getting
away from
animated
it.
about this. I like you're getting animated about this.
Thank you, Kale. I'm doing it for you actually.
Good.
So I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, it's
responding so
frustrating.
pleasantly.
I
Yeah,
wish
but
we had that
I
information.
kind of believe I kind of side with Sim in the sense that, not that we're taking sides here, but I kind of believe it's probably what happened.
Yeah, it was just too cut and dry.
I mean, I'm
Nothing
siding
to the
with him too. That's besides the point.
I think we're
I'm
all.
si-
I
I'm
think we're all
siding with
frustrated
him
with that,
too.
though. I think we all would have much rather not been like we got blindsided as
So
an
Simi,
audience.
you're siding with me. You're siding with me. Kale's siding with you. And
No one's siding with Kale,
Done deal.
and that's the way it should be.
no one ever should. That's the real lesson to be.
Yeah, for you at
gleaned
home,
here.
if you agree with Kale and he's your favorite cast member here on Survivor
Yeah,
Breakfast,
take a step
I
back.
just want to let you know that you're objectively wrong.
No, listen. You'll always be able to predict the winner, as we did last year, and I think it's going to be Owen or Cassidy this season. So just ride with the winner.
I
When you
think
say,
no.
when you
I
say you
think Jesse-
predicted,
well, let's
when
do
did
our,
you predict?
Let's do our
The
stock report
episode
here.
before the finale?
Yeah. He did it.
Whoever sat next to Mike at the finale.
No, he did it
Just
while
what
he
it
was watching it in his basement on his nice little 80-inch
Yeah,
TV.
he saw the votes read
that he
and he
loves
was
so
like,
much.
"Oh, I knew it was."
Yeah, I knew it the whole time. All right, well let's do
stock report.
Let's do
Let's
our
go.
stock report. Let's do our stock report, guys. Tell me who was up for you, who was down for you. Did your winner pick or your top 3 change? I want to hear those from you guys.
All right, I'll do mine quick, and I got an interesting wrinkle to throw into it. For me,
I love Kale's wrinkles.
Sammy's stock went up. I do think he's gonna have to manage threat level, but I honestly thought that he didn't really have a lot going for him going into the game, so I
Agree.
was happy to see that. Cassidy validated her fundamentals that I saw in the preview, so I really liked what I saw from Cassidy. Gabler clearly is a volatile stock. You cannot buy
Yeah.
into Gabler unless you're ready for a wild ride.
I'm
then
afraid,
listen,
yeah.
That options volatility,
Listen, I think
though, you can make some
we
profit.
already talked about it. You had to do a day trade on Cody. You had to do a day trade. He was riding high, but then he started to plummet a bit, and he got real scary. And I'll throw a little bit of an extra kick in there.
This is the wrinkle.
No, that was the wrinkle. A little day trade on Cody, but Jesse played well. I'd sprinkle a little bit on Jesse.
Yeah,
I love
fair.
that. Toast, what about you? What's your stock report here? Who's your day trades? Who's your long call options?
I don't know. The great point about Gabler. Unfortunately for me, I wanted to say that Ellie is stock up, which she 100% is independently. But she also is, I think, most likely to get burnt by the Gabler fire. I think she's in the crossfire. I think she's in the splash zone.
What do they say?
So-
What's from Game of Thrones? She got touched by the.
She got
the
grayscale?
scale, the grayscale.
It's only a matter
she's
of
great
time.
scale.
She's got Gabe's lure
But
scale.
that's an auto death.
Wow.
I don't think she's an auto death. I think, yeah. All right. Well, Ellie's up for you
regardless-
with
Maybe,
an asterisk.
Didn't they
Toast?
treat it? Didn't they treat that one guy?
Is this my stock report or is this Kale
Let
talking
Toast
about
give his
Thrones
stock
right now?
report. Let's stop recapping all of Game of Thrones.
I think that Ellie is great. I loved everything that she brought to the table. But I do think that she wants to harness a wild stallion, which is Gabler. And I think that bucking bronco might buck her off, to be honest. And that could be the end of her prematurely, which is a little upsetting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to entice Kale to interrupt, and I shouldn't. I also think Jesse did great. There's no way that you can look at Jesse's performance today and actually pick apart anything. I think that he was quiet.
Just a sprinkle. Just a sprinkle.
We got his insights without him necessarily doing anything to give up information to any of his tribe mates. I think everybody on that tribe thinks that Jesse will listen to what they have to say at the very minimal, or at the very least. Boom, boom, boom. Who else? Janine kind of went down in my head. I thought Janine was gonna, because we, for the record, we haven't mentioned her name once except for Kale calling her Justine or Justine calling her Janine, whatever. We haven't mentioned her at all. I thought
a lot
that
of
she was
J
gonna.
names.
Yeah, a lot of James.
Jesse, James, all of them. Yeah, you're right. Actually, there are probably too
Justine,
many.
Jesse, James, Janine.
There are probably too many. But Janine was, in my mind, a follower this episode, and not that that's a bad thing necessarily. But she didn't have. We didn't hear anything from her perspective really. We didn't understand what her strategy was.
I
She-
actually thought she was going to narrate a little bit more. I agree with
She did, that's what I'm saying. She wasn't really a main character at any point in the episode, which I don't think is a good sign for somebody as far as impact on the game goes. Not necessarily longevity, but like the first episode, we get so much from Jesse, and we know that like, okay, this is a character to pay attention to some extent, right? Even Cody, even if it's not going to go far, he's a character to pay attention to. Janine was just like, nothing really there for me. So for that reason, she's down because I had her projected as high. And I think that's sufficient. Those are good reads, I think. For
Who
now.
you buying? Who you selling, Sim? Who you buying?
I agree with everything you guys have been saying. I'm up on Sammy, down on Gabler. Like I think you guys are all making really great points. I was kind of neutral on Janine Toast. Like I know we didn't see a lot from her, but I think she could still be keeping a low key radar, and there was a lot of
Yeah.
stuff going
I
on.
guess
this
my
episode,
point
so
is-
maybe they just couldn't quite fit her in, and maybe she'll make.
I
more
ranked
of an
her
impact.
as high,
I hear you.
so she's neutral now, which means she went down.
Yeah.
Is what my point.
I
was.
think the big change for me is that I originally in my preseason had Ellie as my winner pick in my top 3, and I think I'll probably I might shift Jesse to my winner pick in this episode. I think there's just a ton of chaos going on Ellie's tribe, and that makes me worried. If she can make it through all that tumultuousness, and it seems like she's having to take that role of guiding the tribe through that, and I think that could be drawing a lot of attention to her. So, to me, I think Jesse has just narrowly kind of moved up above her for my winner pick as of now. But again, it's episode 1, so anything can happen. But yeah, that's kind of where my
I think
stack
we're
reports.
talking about the right people. If I had to guess,
I think so too. I
Like,
think,
if
we're talking
if I
about
had to
Owen,
guess
we're talking
what
about Jesse, we're talking about Ellie. I think
the
Sammy's
main-
going to be a character.
I'm very curious. Here's another dabble. Yeah, I am very curious to see. I'm very curious to see what Lindsay does.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's a good point too.
I thought she had a good game. To me, my big hope for this season is I hope we can keep Gabler longer than we kept Brad, because Gabler is a ton of fun to watch. I mean,
We're at
he's
least keeping him for
so-
one more tribal that they go to.
At least.
Although he might actually screw that up. So
100%.
because he has
could
that
get-
capacity,
dude,
it seems.
he could easily get convinced to play that for somebody else and get
Or like
knocked.
leave it at home or something.
Yeah, forget about it. Like bury it and lose it somewhere. I don't know.
That would
And-
be actually sick as a move. Wouldn't that be sick if Ellie like convinced him to like bury it somewhere and then like distracted him and then
And
like
moved
had to
it
start going
somewhere.
to tribal and he just forgot it? Like that would be sick.
That would be fire.
I don't know why I'm
Did
thinking
Mike-
about
did
that,
Mike
but that would be cool.
misplace it? Did Mike misplace it last year?
It
Yeah.
was Daniel
Yeah, 'cause
misplaced Mike.
Daniel was reading the thing that
Looking,
that
and then he
Mike
forgot
had,
it,
and
and
then
then Mike
Mike
got
forgot
picked.
it somewhere. Daniel, what a character there. Well, boys, I think it was a really exciting first episode.
It was good.
I had a ton of fun watching that. I'm really excited to watch next week's episode. We're recording this a little bit late, so we're coming up on that sooner than a week. But I'm excited to talk about that with you guys next episode and see kind of what happens with this cast and crew. Other than that, I only have one thing left to say, and that's I'm loving the cast.
Loving the cast.
Loving the
Actually,
cast.
They had great character development too. I'm excited.
Yeah, very excited. All right, boys. I'll see you next.